about the men in the...
We can say that the recent sightings are in no way connected with any secret development by any agency of the United States.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
What are you reporting?
We had someone or something crawling around out here.
But what I'm here to tell you is that everything we have been told is a lie. All part of cosmic unconsciousness.
They got away with killing Kennedy, they got away with the Vietnam War hoax, they emboldened them to do this, and they got away with that. And until these criminals are caught and exposed, they're going to keep using our money to lie to us and to kill people who try to cover it up. That's my rant. Back to you, Michael.
Listen, without the bunker, where are you gonna go to tell the truth, to find the truth? You find it here, in the bunker.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the bunker. Welcome to 2025, everybody. It's been wow, it's been quite the show so far. By show I mean hellscape so far. We Beth and I stayed in not Gettysburg for New Year's, but near Gettysburg in Waynesboro at the historic 1912 Hoover House, which was awesome. Pam and Steve put on an awesome party and are amazing hosts. So we spent the New Year's there and woke up to find that, oh, look, there had been a couple terrorist attacks within the first, overnight on New Year's in New Orleans with a premeditated terrorist attack, I guess is all I can call it. And a few hours later, there's a quote attack, an explosion in a Tesla truck at Trump Tower in Vegas. A few hours later, yeah. What piqued my interest about those things is that both of those guys served at Fort Bragg, and where I served at, and they had both rented a vehicle from the same app, the Turo app, right? And both commit attacks on New Year's. So that's how we sort of ring in the new year. Just when you thought things were going to calm down, then all of LA County caught fire. Looks like there are multiple suspects now in custody. They're just starting fires with blowtorches. So that's shaping up for another interesting situation, to be sure. But yeah, I mean, we're starting it off with a bang, I guess. Not sure what more to say about that. It's a volatile political environment as well. Big changes supposedly coming. Some changes hopefully are coming, but we'll see. But yeah, hell of a way to start off 2025, but here we are. And I wanted to just jump on really quickly and discuss something that, one of the weird phenomena leading up to New Year's was taking place, October, November, 2024 into, well, the present day. And that is these crazy drones being seen everywhere. People seeing orbs of light. I'm not sure if people are seeing that stuff more or if it's just being noticed more. But I could tell you that, I have some clips here, some local officials and mayors and senators and so forth speaking about this. Some of them extremely annoyed that they were not getting any answers from the government, whose take on it so far has been, we don't know what it is, but it's not a threat. So, not sure how you can say both of those things together, but yeah, here we are. Like I said, 2025. So, what started being seen around here like crazy was all of these drones. I have to tell you that, orbs of light and weird stuff like that has been seen, in Jersey, in New York, for a long time, like since the 70s, basically. Every once in a while there'll be flaps and there'll be a bunch of sightings and it dies down for a little bit. But a lot of weird stuff seen around here on the regular. I just, for some reason, the drones are added into the mix and suddenly there's, posts all over social media sharing people's sightings. Some of them, I'll be honest, were obviously planes. Some of them were anomalous, and I can say that for myself, I did see one of these drones fly over Mount Holly, New Jersey, where I live. Happened to be, I think I was taking the dog out. I was outside anyway, and it was night, and I saw to my west some kind of craft flying basically from my roughly north to south, which is odd because most of the planes that fly over here are, for one thing, they're flying much, much higher, and they are going in the opposite direction normally. I didn't have my phone with me, so I didn't get any footage of it, but what I did do was, once it went out of sight, I ran inside, I turned on my tracker app, which I can pull that up right here, let me see, just so I get the name right. So Flight Radar 24, pulled it up to see what aircraft were around here, because it I'm not going to say it logs every aircraft, but it logs military aircraft and all the planes flying over pretty well. So again, there was no aircraft anywhere near my area at that point, so that's kind of an interesting thing. And several years ago, although she can't be here to be on the show, but several years ago, Beth was attending an event at White Hill Mansion in Fieldsboro, New Jersey, near the Delaware River. Watch out, buddy. What are you doing? Oh, we got Levi, the studio pupper here. Hold on a minute. Here you go. There you go. Is that what you want? There you go, buddy. All right. I'm good now. Okay. Where was I? Oh, man. Oh, yeah. But so anyway, several years ago, Beth was sitting on the front lawn. I can't remember the time of year. I tried to get a copy of the MUFON report, but I did write up something with some sketches and notes and stuff and emailed that to MUFON. And Beth got a case number, but she hasn't seen the actual report. I wanted to pull that up for this episode. I'll still keep looking for it, see if I can get that. But either way, she's sitting on the front lawn, and they were having a viewing of The Conjuring on the front lawn. And there was, maybe 25 people there or so. Only about 2 or 3 people, counting Beth, saw this. But she saw 3 orbs. Like she described them as like street lights, maybe 100 feet off the ground, that rough size. Perfectly round, very bright, and there was no sound. They were moving extremely fast, and she said at one point even, there was they had spread apart, and there was one of the orbs had moved away, and the 2 orbs that were closer together, one shot towards the other one real fast, it flashed, and then it took off. And as she watched it go off into the distance, she took her eyes off the other ones for a minute, just watching that just dart off at like crazy speed. That's basically what told her it wasn't an aircraft, because there's just no possible way it would have been able to change direction back and forth, smack into each other, into another aircraft or whatever. It's some sort of, plasma energy is what I'm thinking, the way she described it. But then the other two she had noticed had disappeared. So strange stuff has been seen around here, for quite a while. But it's these drone things that caught my attention, but just because this isn't just an anomalous thing. Like, these people are seeing weird craft. And then after I saw one, to go back to my story for a second, I didn't hear a plane. I didn't hear a helicopter engine. It was dead quiet. It wasn't that far away. It wasn't very large. I mean, maybe the size of a small car, I would say. It did have flashing lights, but it didn't look like normal transponder lights, or like the lights you see on aircraft and helicopters and stuff around here. I grew up next to McGuire Air Force Base in Fort Dix, so I saw planes and helicopters and crap all the time around there. So I was used to seeing and identifying, all that stuff in the air, just growing up around it. But also, once I was in the military, I'm not as sharp as I used to be, but you would have to be able to identify aircraft or a helicopter and what kind it was and whose side it was on just by the sound of it. And we got pretty good at it, practicing all the time. I can still call some of the major ones, like a Chinook helicopter, for example. I can hear that and immediately know exactly what it is, stuff like that. But I mean, there was no sound from this thing, and I should have heard something because it wasn't that far away. It was, I would say, again, it's hard to tell exact size because it's in the night sky, but it wasn't that far away. It was, I would say, within a half mile. But it was an odd craft, and there were these slow little red and green lights that were just slowly flashing back and forth. So, I mean, could it be some military thing? For sure. I don't know what it was, but it was odd. And it was odd there was nothing on the flight tracker, but anyway. So these drones, suddenly seen all over the place. I started looking up different, geez, what are you doing, buddy? I've got a hot mic here, bud. I started seeing stuff, online and on the news and stuff, even on like CBS News and Fox News, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? And this, really flared up, I would say, like October, November into December 2024. I mean, there's still sightings now, but it seems like there are sightings in different areas, and there are less sightings here. I don't know, but there are some interesting reports in here, though. I'm just going to play a couple of clips.
Former Governor Larry Hogan shot this video last night. Former Governor Larry Hogan shot this video last night.
That's weird.
These lights over his hometown in Davidsonville, just 25 miles from the nation's capital, as he pointed out. And then there's this.
I've never seen them. Wow, they just passed each other. Yeah, I've never seen them before.
New Jersey Senator Andy Kim shared this video of drones he shot yesterday. Federal authorities insist most of these sightings are actually legally manned aircraft. But Senator Kim says he checked a flight tracker app while capturing this video, and that the devices he was capturing were not on it. The sightings are happening near LaGuardia Airport, too. Officials say they received unconfirmed reports of drone activity over that busy airport. As for numbers, the FBI says it's received more than 3,000 tips from the public about drone sightings going back to November 18th, all over New Jersey.
This is News Nation, by the way. Seemed to be a pretty good channel for clips for different topics. I don't follow them super close, but whenever I search, I seem to find good clips of the show. But here we go.
Since then, there's been an average of 92 sightings per night and expanding across half a dozen states. In a joint statement, the FBI and Department of Homeland Security said, quote, "We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat." or that they have a foreign nexus. Lawmakers, however, aren't buying it and are pushing for answers and action. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and 2 other senators wrote a letter calling for a briefing with the FBI and Homeland Security. Well, in Connecticut, Senator Richard Blumenthal says the devices should be shot down if they can't be identified. And we've learned that House Speaker Mike Johnson did get a federal briefing on the sightings, as have Senate staffers in a few select offices. But other than that, there's been very little transparency. So what's going on? Is this some contagious mass hysteria? Or are people really seeing something that our government cannot identify? Our own Rich McHugh went out drone hunting in New Jersey. He did not come back empty-handed. Rich, tell us what you saw.
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, I got to be honest here. You know, when this story first came out a few weeks ago, as a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist, I didn't pay it much credence. I thought it would turn out to be a bunch of pranksters and this would all be over by now. The experience I had last night, however, changed the way I feel about this story completely. What I saw was more sophisticated than I ever imagined. Take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 lights, 6 lights.
I didn't believe what I was seeing. But what was I seeing? We're here in central Jersey. We've been looking for the past hour. I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones. In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there. One after another, these drones appeared in the night sky. If you look real close, they look like fixed-wing aircraft, about 8 to 10 feet wide, colorful, white blinking lights.
That is not a plane.
Definitely not an airplane, but what was it?
Yeah, it just looks like a very, very large commercial drone. That's what it looks like. That's what it matches. It looks similar to what I saw. And this is from, again, a few weeks ago. But this is like in the sort of heat of where I came into this and where I noticed this was blowing up everywhere. Yeah, so I'm not sure I'm going to play this whole thing, but here we go.
Hours earlier, I was invited to join the Ocean County Sheriff Department. They launched their own drones to see if they could intercept the mysterious aircraft New Jersey residents have been reporting in recent weeks.
Well, the cops have some pretty badass drones, dude. Now that I'm seeing this, like, yeah, the state police has got some pretty wicked-looking drones.
The department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones. Why do you think that is?
We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now. One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat, and then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I see one right here. Did I see the same thing that officer saw? I'm still not sure. What I can show you is this video. What I can tell you is I've never seen anything like it before. Wow. In more than a month since these reports started, the federal government doesn't know what they are either.
What's your message to the White House?
My message: come to the Jersey Shore. I know it's wintertime, but come see what we see, and then, maybe have a better appreciation for why our residents are concerned.
The Ocean County Sheriff, that drone unit, they have an industrial-grade drone. They put it up. They were tracking one of these drones, Elizabeth, and they said this thing easily evaded them, disappeared out of thin air. So, to me, if this is not our military, then it's even more scary, and we need the answers, frankly.
All right, Rich McHugh. Thanks so much for watching.
Yeah, that was Elizabeth Vargas on News Nation. So, holy crap. I mean, if you have, just some people out and they have a weird sighting, in a field somewhere, in a park or whatever, you get those reports in, the authorities aren't going to really take that seriously. But when you have police officers observing these things, you've got the Coast Guard observing these things, And, you know, the number one suspect would be, well, or at least you would hope it would be our military. Whether they're doing something crazy, weird, and nefarious is another story. But you know, is it ours or is it someone else's? Is it what the hell is this? And again, these clips are from a few weeks ago. But you know, the thing that was enlightening to me was the number of actual state officials that were super upset about this. And I'll play just a couple of minutes of this clip, not the whole thing, but you know, here's a United States senator expressing his frustration.
One politician in New Jersey is calling for a limited state of emergency as a result of this unprecedented drone activity. Republican State Senator John Bramnick, thank you so much for joining us, Senator. We appreciate your time this morning.
Good to be with you.
So what new information can you share this morning from state and federal law enforcement?
You know, this started as some questions, and now it's reached a point of almost insanity. You think about a United States senator who has to go out with the local police to look for drones. That's where a United States senator is getting information. We had a briefing from the state police, the colonel in the state police. He was frustrated. He had no idea where these drones are coming from. Not only did I call for a limited state of emergency and the FAA shutting down the airspace for drones, but also having the Department of Defense come in and answer questions. If the Department of Defense doesn't know where the origins are for these so-called drones, then we're in trouble. We always thought that if there was something in the air the size of a car, that the Department of Defense would know where it came from, what its origin was, and what its purpose was. Now you have a United States senator going out with the local police, to look for fireworks at night? That is scary.
It is terrifying. Like Caitlin just reported, President-elect Trump is calling for government transparency, which you are as well. He's saying maybe shoot them down if we don't get any more information. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah. Okay. So really, just to stop it there for a second, you know, your feelings about Trump aside, he's the incoming president, and they show his tweet here where he says, like, mystery drone sightings all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know and now. Otherwise, shoot them down. So I mean, I wanted to pick a few clips. There were many more than this that were out there, but I wanted to just pick a couple of clips that sort of encapsulated just the frustration level that I was seeing from not only citizens out here seeing these things flying over their house, not only from police officers frustrated because they didn't know what they were dealing with. They're receiving loads and loads of calls by citizens just seeing these things and calling in complaints. But you also had, you know, people in the government weren't being given answers either. The FBI held a briefing and basically told a whole bunch of mayors and senators and people in Congress nothing. The mayors came out of that meeting extremely pissed, actually. And yeah, and I mean, you can see, you know, Senator Bramnick here is expressing that same sentiment.
Well, I would leave that up to the Department of Defense. But how can the Department of Defense not provide information to the public? This is a shock to me. You know, I have a general belief in government, but this is taking me to the end of my belief that government is really being honest. Now, there's been some apparently top secret briefings, right, with Congress people. Now, they come out of that, and I heard Josh Gottheimer come, the representative, and he said, well, I'm not getting a lot of information, but I don't think it's a threat. So my guess is there is information, but they're holding it back. And now what you have is panic. Originally some questions, now you have serious concerns. And at the next point, somebody's going to do something stupid.
Yeah, I'll stop it there. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's funny what he said about government telling the truth, but it's pretty funny. Our government's not had a good track record on that front. But anyway, yeah, I've spoken to some other people that have the same sort of feeling about this, that they do know what it is, but they're not telling us, either because it's theirs and it's some top secret project. A lot of people are getting the sense that they know what it is, but they're just not telling us. Super interesting. But I just heard the other day, actually, that there was a firefighting plane flying over the fires in California had to be grounded, have it take an emergency landing because it was damaged from getting hit with a drone. Now, it was a pretty big hole it put in the wing of that aircraft, so it had to have been a pretty good-sized drone. But again, we don't know the details of that. We don't know if it was just a hobbyist, if it was a police drone, if it was a DoD thing. We have no idea. But we just know that a plane was damaged by getting hit with a drone. That's the report anyway. So yeah, I mean, what a way to start off 2025 with all of these crazy sightings and sightings of these drones and the wildfires, terrorist attacks. I mean, we're starting it off with a bang. But again, I want to reiterate my earlier point that these things, when I say things, I mean anomalous things seen in the sky around this area. I mean, it's been documented over and over and over again. There have been, you even see them on unexplained TV shows. I mean, there have just been sightings around this area for a long, long time. And it's just sort of coming to a head now. I'm not sure if perhaps more people are just paying attention. I think that there was, when the drone thing really started up, in like mid-November to late November, when the fever of it really started to spread and word got out there, a lot more people were going outside and looking up. And the end result of that is going to be inevitably, okay, a lot of people are going to be noticing things that were always there that might look strange at first glance, but they're just reporting it and becoming, whipped up into this frenzy because of all this media attention. And they're looking up and they're seeing, and some of the videos, I'll admit, straight up were just planes, or looked like planes. But again, I did personally see one of these things that I know is not a plane. And I've seen many, many videos that look extremely bizarre. And there was a couple of them that are downright, to me, unexplained. So, again, just like every other compilation of sightings, you can look at UFO statistics from the beginning of time, and you can explain away the vast majority of them, just like the vast majority of claims in the paranormal. You can explain most of them away as misidentification, as artifacts, lens flares. There's a lot of strange phenomena that happens when you try to film something at night outside that is giving off light. When you zoom in, strange things happens to the image and to the light and to the play of that image through the lens. So some of that stuff, a lot of it can be explained away. But I did see a handful of 3 or 4 videos that were really bizarre and were definitely not aircraft. And if they're drones, that they are some super, super advanced type of drone. And then the other question is, and I've heard several people bring this up, if these drones were doing some secret mission at night, and again, I mean, there's report after report of these things were only seen at night and never seen during the day, right? Well, if they were doing some sort of secret mission at night, then why did they have lights on them? If they were going to do some secret mission and didn't want to be seen, and it was a super secretive thing, why wouldn't they just navigate it with night vision or thermal and not have lights? Well, the easy answer is that for safety purposes, anything you're flying in the air, whether it's a hobbyist drone or a commercial drone, an aircraft, helicopter, a plane, anything, it needs to have these lights on it so that other things can see it. And I think if they're, to address the ET angle on this, I've seen some people make that assertion. I think, again, if this were, some sort of alien race that were here to spy on us, I don't think that they would, they wouldn't have safety lights on their crafts. You know what I mean? They would just blend into the sky. They would just be there. They could be there 24/7, without being seen if they wanted to. And certainly at night, if they wanted to not be seen, they wouldn't have lights on themselves. So then you either have to draw the conclusion, oh, okay, well then it's just common commercial drones or DoD drones or something like that. And the lights are there obviously for safety and whatnot, but or they want to be seen. So, that's, there's been a few theories being thrown around. I don't really know where I stand. I would have been honestly standing back, third person, looking at this whole thing and laughing if I didn't see one myself. And I just know, having been in this field for a long time, that many anomalous things have been seen in the sky around this area for a really, really long time. In fact, the very first episode of this podcast, Beth and I went up to North Bergen just to take a look around and investigate the area where the Stonehenge incidents happened in 1975. Again, strange things seen in the sky by not just the primary witness in that case, but by many, many other people as well. So there's a comedian, Joey Diaz, who grew up in North Jersey. I believe he was living out in California for a long time. I believe he moved back to Jersey again, but he said he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about these Stonehenge apartments in North Bergen, and that's his old stomping ground. And he told Joe about this UFO sighting in 1975, and he said that he has friends that still live there to this day. They see weird stuff flying up and down the Delaware River all the time. This is a tall hotel. It's like a shaped like a column, and so there's apartments, and they have windows and balconies on all sides. And so, allegedly there's people that live there to this day. They see weird stuff flying around up and down the Delaware, between there and New York City and back. So it's not, how should I put it? Weird things have been seen for a long time. And not only by just regular people, like I mentioned earlier, just out in their backyard or walking their dog or smoking a cigarette, but you're talking about pilots, police officers, fire department, military, and as a matter of fact, I have another clip here that is from an astronaut, a former astronaut and pilot, who saw something weird while he was flying his plane.
On the East Coast this morning, the drone sightings that had parts of New York and New Jersey looking up to... On the East Coast this morning, the drone sightings that had parts of New York and New Jersey looking up to the skies in recent weeks for more than a month, they've stopped since the FAA implemented its temporary ban. The Pentagon says, simply put, the drones do not pose a threat. A former astronaut who spent 15 years with NASA says he came into contact not with a drone, but another unidentified object last summer. Joining me now is that former astronaut, Leroy Chow. Leroy, thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Hi, my pleasure.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you were piloting your plane from Colorado back home to Texas when this happened to you. Has this kept you up at night, like not knowing what you saw or what that was?
Well, it is pretty strange. It hasn't kept me up per se, but I did come into contact with, or almost came into contact with, these two spherical metallic, basically chrome orbs about 3 feet in diameter, one on top of the other. And they passed within 20 feet of my airplane on the left side, going the opposite direction just below. And I got a good look at them, and I didn't know what they were at the time, and I kind of continued to believe they were probably part of some kind of a secret program, a government program for advanced drones, but I have no way of knowing. My biggest concern, and I didn't even have time to get scared because they just whizzed by me so quickly, there wasn't even time for that. So it remains a mystery. I don't know. I have no way of knowing what happened.
Yeah. So you say 20 feet away. That was real close to not being good. for you and your airplane.
Right, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I was on an instrument flight plan, which means I was under positive control by air traffic control, and they will alert you if there's other air traffic near you. I had, my airplane is equipped, as all airplanes are required to be equipped, with the FAA-approved devices that allow you to basically see all the traffic in your area on a display like an iPad, and nothing showed up there, and so it was a big mystery.
Yeah, I have my private pilot's license. I'm just VFR. I don't have IFR yet, but I was thinking to myself when I was reading your story, did Tower not tell you, that this was coming? Nothing showed up on your instruments? I mean, that's wild. Right. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, never. This is the first and only time I've ever seen it. It was a little bit earlier this year in August, so nothing before or since.
Okay, there you go. So there's a sighting from last August. And yeah, interesting. Again, he said, he's checking his instruments and he sees this craft. I mean, you obviously 2 spheres aren't going to be taking off from an aircraft, or from an airport and showing up on FAA radar. But yeah, so there you go. Again, nothing showed up on radar, which would rule out him misidentifying something, right? I definitely suggest, if you're a sky watcher, if you're into this, if you've ever seen anything weird around your property, go ahead and get this flight tracker app, which I'll pull it up again here. Let me see. Excuse me. Yeah, so it is Flight Radar 24. This, even military helicopters, and a lot of those fly around this area on the regular. They will also show up on here. So that's something to think about if you're interested in this. And it's nice to refer to, because if you see or hear something strange, you have that as a resource to rule out something that is just an aircraft, right? Because sometimes planes can look strange. If they're coming straight at you, sometimes you can see something at an angle, it might look like a saucer. Once it turns, and you'll see the wings and the fuselage and stuff like that. But again, like I said, the one I saw did not make a sound, at least not that I heard, and was flying very low and did not show up on that flight radar. So people aren't crazy, is my point. People are seeing stuff. They really are seeing stuff out there. And a lot of those sightings and a lot of the videos were, legit misidentifications. Some of them were generally strange. I encourage you to Google some of those videos and see. A lot of them are on YouTube. All these clips that I'm playing for you are on News Nation. You can find those on YouTube. It's a pretty good follow. But again, we're just left with answers again. What a way to start off 2025, everybody. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this first episode of the new season here rather short, but I just wanted to jump on and just address these things and just give my opinion on the drones and the orbs and so forth. That and every time I see or think about anomalous things in the sky, I always think back to that sighting that Beth had with those 3 I'll say orbs, because I'm not sure what they were. They definitely weren't aircraft. But yeah, I will work on getting the copy of that report from MUFON. And when I do, I hopefully will sit down and we'll talk about it. But there's some weird stuff being seen out there, like I said, and not all of it can be explained. And you even have, astronauts and pilots and stuff like that seeing this weird stuff. So what the heck it is, who knows? But I want to thank everyone for joining me on this first episode of what is to be apparently a very exciting 2025. And yeah, we will see you again next time in the bunker.